by Hannah Torregosa. Detained Senator Leila de Lima on Tuesday urged the government to heed warnings that limiting the participation of a third player in the local telecommunications industry to Chinese industries would be prejudicial to the Philippines in the future. De Lima said that while this would be good for the present administration, it is not necessarily the same for the future of the nation. Senator Leila de Lima, Manila Bulletin File Photo. The senator said the Duterte government should look at the experience of countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Cambodia, and a host of other Asian and even African nations as a lesson on how China ultimately demands for its pound of flesh once it decides to cash in. She also said the government should also consider the security threat a Chinese telco poses to the country's information and communication infrastructure. What will assure us that in the future, our national security and whole intelligence and defense systems won't be compromised, if not under the complete control of a foreign government with national interests diametrically opposed to our own, de Lima said. De Lima said this is one of the very reasons why the NBNZTE deal was scuttled under the Arroyo government, aside from the corruption issues that plagued it. Do we really want a country which has most interest in undermining our national security to have a major role in our public utilities, especially communications, the senator said. Last week, Malacanang announced that it will limit the participation of a third player in the telco industry to Chinese companies, which means all other foreign companies would be excluded from participating, no matter how more competent and more advanced their services and technology might be. This economically irrational decision can only be explained with the shift in our foreign policy that now heavily leans towards China. After all, both governments do not mince words in describing the present as a golden age of PH-China relations, the opposition senator said. Of course, this is no cause for worry for an administration bent on making the Philippines a Chinese satellite. Already the intention is to make China our center, shunning Western democracies, but without the economic independence and self-sufficiency of the other progressive ASEAN nations to enable us to stand our ground against the Chinese juggernaut, she said. The Duterte government, she said, intends to bury Filipinos in Chinese loans. But when the Chinese Shylock comes knocking in the near future, today's leaders won't be the ones to pay. It is the common citizens who will, she said. Couple this with a communications industry heavily compromised by a Chinese presence, it is not entirely alarmist to envision our nation as a Chinese province, and Filipinos as second-class citizens of China, in the near future, she pointed out. We must stop this undesirable dystopia from becoming reality for our children and our grandchildren while we still can, she said.